Welcome to the Point of Everything podcast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Hey guys, this is the Point of Everything podcast, episode 6. And in this episode, we'll discuss the hypocrisy of the whole COVID-19 situation. So we'll mostly be talking about the hypocrisy of basically the politics. So this is an opinion, like the last episode. So don't take our exact word for it. Remember, we're just idiots making a podcast. So Garrick, you want to start us off? And our only guest here with us is Garrick. So Quinn wasn't able to make it today, but anyway. So Garrick, what are one of the biggest types? What are one of the biggest things that are involving hypocrisy right now with the whole COVID-19 situation?
Just a lot of stuff with the First Amendment. Like, you could go to casinos and everything, but you couldn't go to churches. You could go to BLM riots and protests and everything, but you couldn't go to a Trump rally.
Yeah.
I've been to a Trump rally relatively recently, and I did not get the virus from it. We got tested. So it's not as big of a deal as everyone thinks. Well, I think mainly the Trump rallies don't spread it at least as much as all the protests and riots and everything.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you can debate is how the Trump rally people aren't wearing masks, but I mean, it's not like the peaceful protesters, quote unquote, were wearing masks, at all times either. They're still, in close contact.
So I did go to a BLM protest, and less than half the people were wearing them, but
yeah,
some people were wearing them. Like, half the people who were wearing them weren't wearing them right, like just on their chin or below their nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then given the Trump rally, there was very little masks, maybe 1 in 30, being generous.
Yeah.
And then all the lines were just packed together the whole time.
Yeah,
So,
that's not very COVID friendly.
Well, the only thing going for it was that we were outside, so that wasn't as bad.
So I seen also on the TV, most of the mainstream media is that if you go to a Trump rally, you're gonna get COVID because you're not wearing masks or you're not social distancing or there's a lot of you. So then when they switch the camera over to the peaceful protest, quote unquote, they're like, this is okay. There's like a few thousand people just marching down the street. This is okay. Everyone's inches away from each other, spitting on each other, hollering at the people across the street. That's okay. And I think that's also what you're kind of explaining was the hypocrisy of the whole political agenda. It's kind of like there's an agenda to it, and one side is taken differently than the other.
Yeah, and a big thing back when all the protests started happening was all the COVID stuff in the news just stopped.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if that's fine, what's wrong with why do I have to wear a mask throughout my normal day life?
I mean, it's like this meme. It was of the Andy from Toy Story. He's like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and he dropped the COVID-19 into the trash can.
Yeah,
it was the mainstream media as playing as Andy, but I mean, it's kind of true, the whole COVID back in I think it was like April. It was it like April and like beginning of May, COVID-19 was so serious, and then like June and July is like protests. If you go to a Trump rally, you're gonna get COVID. You're gonna kill grandma. You know.
Yeah, so like Ju mid June, like June 14th ish, there was an article that was saying, "Hey, they're having a BLM protest." Mentioned nothing about COVID, and then an hour later, they there was an article about a Trump rally, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, all the public health officials say that the Trump rally is going to give everyone COVID." I'm like, where were you for all the protests?
Yeah. I mean, I think the Trump rallies were like close, and I guess they weren't doing social distancing guidelines, but um from what I've seen so far, there hasn't been any major outbreaks in any Trump rallies. So yeah, not sure about that.
Oh. And a lot of people are saying that the there were no cases from the BLM protests, but the New York governor also said that they weren't gonna ask about. They're deliberately not gonna ask about all if you've been to a protest within the past
Yeah,
2 weeks for contact tracing.
yeah, I think that's yeah, it's no
Uh,
bueno. But I mean, and then yeah, it's just all basically hypocrisy and um political agenda, and especially since it's an election year, so it's like everything's so crazy. I think if it wasn't an election year, it wouldn't be as bad. It wouldn't be so crazy. Nothing would be so political.
I think everyone would still blame Trump, but they wouldn't they wouldn't be so into all the lockdowns
Yeah.
because locking down until next November is a whole lot different than locking down till for another month or so.
And what's funny is like the left thinks that we can shut down the government for another like 6 months, and everyone's gonna be fine. The government is just gonna have the corn of plenty, and just give everyone money, and we're just gonna get trillions and trillions more in debt. And that's like Bernie Sanders. He said, um, this would be much better if we had universal health care. And yeah, I'm like, well, that'd be really expensive, and the healthcare you'd be getting would not be that good.
Okay. Well, with everyone attacking Trump, Trump did make some mistakes. He didn't re-up the stockpile of N95 masks
Yeah.
and early enough, and I think that if he was wearing a mask in public, it might have, or at least if he wasn't saying so much bad things about masks, then all the Trump supporters would wear them more. But
Yeah, I think that too is he kind of said too much, like he said too much of his mind, and then everyone just attacked him on that. He said, "I'm not, we're not going to wear masks." And I think it wouldn't have been so like political if he wore a mask, and then I guess if his Trump supporters like wear a mask or something. But
well, I don't know how much of it's actually wearing the mask than just saying that you should wear a mask, because the
yeah.
Democratic governors like Cuomo and everyone who are town doing their what's it called, press conferences,
Uh-huh.
they weren't wearing masks then either.
Nancy
So
Pelosi wasn't wearing a mask when she went in that barber, whatever it was.
yeah.
Yep.
So for our high school, um, all the fall sports were postponed to 2021, right after
All the sports were
all fall sports. They
that
didn't
all.
wouldn't even let us do cross country or tennis, where you could
No.
easily social distance. But
Yeah.
but they're still letting people. They're still letting us go to basketball practice, and I guess we would be doing cross country practice, but it's
Who
just
knows what's
just a
going
lot of
on with that?
smoke from California,
Yeah.
so it's not great to run in.
I mean, I think like golf and like tennis and cross country can definitely start their seasons normally, I think, because you can easily social distance. And it's not like you're sitting in a stationary room, where everyone's breathing the same air. I mean, everyone's all spread out. I mean, besides the places where we get bottlenecked in races, but I
Yeah,
mean, you
but
know,
they're still letting us do uh off-season practice for basketball, and they're not making us wear masks while we're breathing all over everyone, breathing all over the balls, and
yeah, I think that's kind of stupid that we can't have our sports. I mean, if you're so scared about, you know, there is some sports though that have some exceptions, like football. Okay, I could see that being postponed because everyone's touching, or like wrestling, because everyone's touching each other and it's like close contact. That's I can understand that, but like cross country or track even too, it's I don't I don't think that they should be postponed.
at least at the beginning part of it, they were just trying to get something out there to try to stop something. And I could understand some hypocrisy then, but after a month or so, you want to fix it.
Yeah.
But nothing's happened.
I mean, I don't know, it's come to the point where you can't even trust really what's being told, you know? There's just so much it's it's all just crazy. Like you can't even trust the mainstream media on like the true facts of things. And then
I,
now they're saying the CDC is being rigged by Trump. So yeah.
I think that's the problem with politics nowadays. We can't even agree on the basic facts. Both sides have different facts, and they say that the other facts are completely false and fake. But
I mean,
I
that's
don't know.
and they're even coming so far to silence those who disagree with them. And it's kind of funny because it's the Antifa people are saying if you we're anti-fascist, well, da 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 da, and then you go up to them and have a different opinion on something, they're like, "Oh, you should be, punished for having a different opinion. Oh, you're a racist. You should be locked up." Or, or they threaten violence towards those that disagree with them. And that's actual fascism, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it's turning out to be now. And especially, I think it's kind of stupid how the colleges are looking back on, um, you know, the people that are going into college. They're looking back at their Instagram and like Twitter when they were like 12 years old, and they say something racist. I mean, really? Like people change. I mean, people don't stay the same. And, it doesn't have to be taken that seriously to the point where you can't go into a college.
Well,
Those are just my thoughts.
even if it's not racist or meant to be racist, there's just so many people out there in the day of the internet,
Yeah.
and people just get offended at any little thing.
Yeah. I mean, and then they can interpret it differently too, as if it is racist when it actually isn't, and then they're punished for something they didn't even do. and that's stupid. And that's actually a restriction of like freedom of speech. You know, I mean, people can't even say what they want to believe because they're afraid they'll be like canceled or um like put off to the side. You know, it's crazy.
Okay. You ready to hop into the headlines?
Yeah, sure. Alrighty,
Okay.
peoples. You wanna go first?
Okay, just a second. From CNN. Elon Musk promises $25,000 Tesla and says Model S Plaid is coming soon. So there's a win for all your electric cars. And Teslas are just pretty cool anyways.
Pretty cool.
Now, isn't it like 100,000 for one new?
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
expensive. Yeah.
so I don't know how he's gonna do that. Probably won't be any of the smart steering or autopilot or anything in them.
Wait, how much was it? 25,000?
I said it's 25,000, and
Dude.
that's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah, for a Tesla, it probably has like the bare bones. It's not even electric. It just has the name on it.
Okay, from ABC News, Bloomberg raises millions to help Florida felons vote. So, bit of background: Florida state courts just ruled a couple days ago that felons can't vote until they've paid off all their fines and court fees.
Uh-huh.
Michael Bloomberg and another charity have been raising money to help them pay off their debts that they can vote for Biden, presumably. And
Presumably.
presumably felons for Trump. No, felons for Biden.
So thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Thank you, Garrick, for having a political discussion. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Point of Everything Podcast. Just help it out over there. And yeah, all right. Thank you, Garrick. And
Yeah. One more
see
thing,
ya.
real quick. I'm working on getting the new visuals for the YouTube videos, and episodes 1 through 6 should be re-uploaded and up by, I guess, might only get to 1 through 3 tomorrow, and then 4 through 6 should be done by tomorrow. Look for those at around noon, probably.
All right, guys, you hear that? So stay tuned for future content. All right. So thank you, Garrick, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
This is the Point of Everything Podcast.